Hello and welcome to Black Helicopter Radio. I'm Ed Walker. I will be your host for the next hour. The websites are blackhelicopterradio.com and antimatternetwork.com. The first Black Helicopter Radio is simply just my YouTube channel at this time. And then antimatternetwork.com will take you to actually listen to us, the blog talk channel, which is me. And then we have Jacob and also Galactic Wacko, and then also the main show Antimatter Radio with Jeffrey Grupp and myself. Today's topic, I'm going to be talking about the alien abduction phenomenon. Seems like a lot of people who research the New World Order, Illuminati, Grand Conspiracy seem to kind of brush this topic aside and think it's simply just a distraction, and just basically think it's like the equivalent of studying chupacabras, or it's kind of one of those things that's a little more out there to a lot of people. But I don't think it's that easy just to brush this off. I think there is definitely something to it. I mean, I've done just years of researching this, and I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, that's why we're just trying to figure this out. So this show, I'm going to be putting out a lot of theories. And some of my theories, for example, if I say that the aliens, the ETs, are actually demons, that might offend some people who are pro-alien, which may sound strange to some of you, but a lot of people do think they're almost like they come from the source or from God. I might, we're going to be discussing that. Also, maybe we'll be discussing maybe they actually are literally from another galaxy, and they're space travelers. This is going to be really going into just what they could be. I'm going to be taking a lot of quotes and information from a book called Passport to the Cosmos. It's by John E. Mack. You'll notice on this show and on Black Helicopter Radio, I really do try to cite my resources a lot, because a lot of other radio hosts don't, and I think for one it's doing a disservice to the person who you got the information from, the author or the person who made the documentary or whatever, but also it's kind of a disservice to your listeners, because this is a group effort of us understanding this crazy dark ecstasy world, as the name of my YouTube channel. So by me telling you where I got this information from, it means if you're interested, you can go, check it out online and go look up the book Passport to the Cosmos by John E. Mack. This book is simply amazing. Okay, the way he just goes into vivid detail. Basically, it's divided up amongst chapters of all the similar aspects that these abductees have. What I mean by that is, like, he'll go into the bodily sensations, like the vibrating. They always describe light. They describe the ETs are, sending them similar messages. And actually, he prefers the term experiencer. Okay, because John Mack kind of strayed from the typical, aliens from another planet coming and sucking you up into their spaceship, to a more, near the end, I believe he saw it more as like a kind of interdimensional, almost like a spiritual experience. And John Mack, okay, this guy is it's pretty amazing. I mean, it was a big deal when he came out with this information. And the reason that is he was he's a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. So at Harvard, a really prestigious university. And he won a Pulitzer Prize. And so, here's this guy at a totally mainstream school, okay, he comes out and then starts doing this in-depth research on alien abduction. A lot of people thought he was literally going crazy. I mean, but that, to me, that is real integrity. I'm sure he knew he was going to get laughed at and get, totally ostracized for getting into this information when you're a high figure like him. But integrity is when you know what you're doing. It's more important than just your reputation, or you're just doing what you believe and what you're passionate about, regardless of what the consequences are. And so I really respect him for that. Okay, so the book is called Passport to the Cosmos. So, like, I guess what I'll start doing is by looking just at simply at the chapter titles, and then kind of just going into what he talks about, and or my own summary of what I got from studying this subject. So yeah, I mean, like I said, this book is really in depth. He starts out just simply talking about how do we study something like this. I mean, this is something with very rarely there's any physical evidence. Although I say rarely because it actually there are some instances that we'll get into. But yeah, very rarely there's actual physical evidence. Um, Usually no one else witnesses anything. I also say usually because there have been cases where other people have, but for the most part, yeah, no physical evidence, rarely any witnesses. So I mean, yeah, how do you study something like this, you know? So he goes into that, and then the next question is if it is real, or sorry, is it real, and if so, how? See, this is where he starts getting into the more. It's not. I mean, it is what's happening to them. He says is definitely real to them, to the experiencer, but is it real in the sense of you sitting there and at your computer and listening to me, like, that's real. But I mean, what he means by that is he believes these people are, their physical bodies may actually just be staying in the same position, but their consciousness is basically being taken out by these entities. I mean, that's one theory of it. And then he goes into one common aspect of the experiencers is light, energy, and vibration. They all describe the beings of light. They're, sometimes they say the beings, the extraterrestrials, or whatever you want to call them, are. I'll just refer to them as entities from now on. Are beings of just like pure light, almost like they don't have any physical actual mass to them. Okay. Also, yeah, energy. That's a huge one. Okay, so they all. It's amazing how similar the different experiencers' accounts of the experience is. They all describe this energy that they receive from after the experience of. For a lot of them, it seems like to be fairly positive. They become more. They claim to be more spiritually enlightened. They have just this overall energy, and they claim when they get one or more of the experiencers together, they have this kind of almost like telepathic type this bond of energy, from the two people, and when they get together, it just is amazing. Because it's like they've been infected with this totally different form of energy within them. And then one thing they also talk about is vibration. Okay, vibration goes into a lot of times, they'll talk about doing things that, at least to the average person would defy the laws of physics. For example, being taken up and then sucked through your window or sucked through your ceiling. So they describe a lot of times. They say they feel like their individual cells, start vibrating like crazy, and they describe it almost as like they're being pulled apart, so they're able to be pulled through physical matter. It's pretty amazing stuff. The next thing it goes into is protecting the Earth. So many times these entities will deliver messages to the experiencers, and a very common one is them warning the experiencers that we're literally on the verge of complete, basically, destruction and extinction. I think usually it's more from an environmental aspect, you know. So they always get these warnings that we're destroying our Earth, which, I mean, that's very interesting. Why would so they're warning us about destroying the Earth? Why should these beings even care if we destroy the Earth? Whatever these beings are. Also, one thing that this starts getting pretty weird, but this is extremely common within these experiencers, is the hybrid project. Okay, I'm just saying, no, I'm just skimming over all these different things. Individually, I'll probably talk deeper about some of these more, but just going over all what he talks about. And the hybrid project is, like I said, it's very common, and they all describe being used in like a sort of a hybrid project. Either the entities will take sperm from the male or eggs from the female experiencer, and then either I don't know if they make them in the lab, but I know they do claim that they'll actually have the fetus inside the human woman, and then it'll develop, but then at a later time they'll take it out. Um, but I also know actually are sexual experiences. Sorry, some of these experiencers do have actual they fornicate with the entities. They actually describe it, and you can tell they're always very embarrassed when they talk about it. But yeah, so this is some very deep stuff. And then the chapters after that goes into like, yeah, it talks about different shamans and how he believes it's yeah, John Mack ended up saying he thinks this is really just a lot more spiritual than we would realize. So I mean, if you think about, you know, UFOs and alien abduction in a different sense than just how we usually think of things, you know, like airplanes, and if you think of them as, you know, interdimensional, it just makes a whole lot more sense because they're, for one thing, they defy laws of physics. You know, these entities going through walls and, you know, going like 1,000 miles per hour and then instantly doing a 90-degree turn, you know, or just flying and then just vanishing out of nowhere. So I mean, that would explain a lot, and this is backed up by a lot of, you know, some of the physicists out there who actually do have theories of parallel dimensions and things like that. So it's not as far-fetched as it might sound. Um, to me, I think that would be the most likely explanation. As far as them actually being extraterrestrial from another planet, that's just really hard to say. My feeling is, I mean, I don't think so, but there could, you know, who's to say all of these extraterrestrials that people are witnessing are from the same place? You know, there could be a huge variety of them. In fact, they do describe different types. So I don't know, maybe some are from you know, another planet, but to me they seem to be more like some sort of non-worldly interdimensional entity versus a little green man from, you know, another planet. What else about them? So, and then as far as the experiences being real, okay, it's people who just try to brush this off and say, oh, they're just making it up, they want attention. You need to realize a lot of these people go through hell, you know, to get this story out. I mean, it's not, you know, a lot of these people, they really have no motivation for this, and in fact, they would have a lot more reasons not to put this story out, you know, as far as hurting their reputation. I mean, when you say you're a successful business person and you come out just saying, hey, I've been abducted, they're telling me that the Earth's going to be destroyed, they put chips in me, I'm going to have a little alien baby, you know, you're going to sound absolutely insane. So, to say that the people are just saying this for attention or they're just delusional is a huge, you know, generalization. There's just no way. And then also, you have that, but then what about the symptoms they express? You know, they will show the same symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, like shell shock they used to call it, to like a war veteran. So they'll have identical symptoms as someone who just got back from war. You know, what does that tell you? I mean, that would be pretty hard to fake unless something actually happened to you. Like, if I were just to go into the doctor and act, you know, really, I'd have to be the best actor in the world to really pull that off. Yeah. Hello and welcome to Black Helicopter Radio. I'm Ed Walker. I will be your host for the next hour. The websites are blackhelicopterradio.com and antimatternetwork.com. first, Black Helicopter Radio, is simply just my YouTube channel at this time. And then antimatternetwork.com will take you to actually listen to us, the blog talk channel, which is me, and then we have Jacob, and also